Alright, my peoples, what's up? So we are back right where we left off. In the last video we were looking at the settlement mod called Vault 98. So the author of that mod, he made it before the release of the creation kit, and to me, when I used it, everything was working fine with the exception of the settlers not showing up when you have a powered up beacon. So I really enjoyed that mod, and I was immediately going to jump into the Vault 98 Redux, and so here we are. So we are in the same location as we were before, which is the Fairline Hill Estates. This time you will have access to two settlements. So you get the Fairline Hill Estates area, and you will get the Vault 98 settlement, which is underneath. And when you arrive, the vault door is actually blocked by a giant crate, so you will need to interact with the forklift to remove it. You can then go to the guard tower and hit the switch inside, which will unlock the vault. So honestly, I didn't like the inclusion of the forklift to remove the crate. For one, it's not animated and the crate just vanishes, and you only use it one time, so I just felt like overall it was just unnecessary. And while I do think that having the surface settlement is a nice idea, I was never a fan of making settlements of existing locations. It's just a higher chance of errors and bugs happening. So the inside of the vault is completely different. It's more like Vault 88 now in its design. It's now a giant cave like structure with a few rooms. So I was getting a bit lost in here, and I have to be honest and say that I personally was disappointed with this mod. It's one thing to update a mod, but this is something that's completely different. I enjoyed the original Vault 98 for it being easier to navigate in and having a very similar structure to Vault 81. So it's just my personal opinion, and I know that most will say that this version is better because it's more customizable. And I think that the mod itself is good. I just think that it should have been another vault and placed in a different location. Next is Gunmetals Armored Coat Pack. This is going to let you change the color of the railroad armored coats. You just need a few crafting materials and an armor workbench. There's a lot of colors and patterns to choose from. I personally like the camouflage materials in addition to the solid colors. The mod comes in 2K and 4K versions. In this video I'm using the 2K version. I always prefer to go with smaller textures since there's so much action and chaos going on in my game. So I enjoy this mod just like I do with most other gunmetal mods, and so I'm going to keep this one. And next up after that we have the Better Robots Disposal Ground. So this is going to place a bunch of destroyed robot bodies all around the area, and many different kinds as well, like construction bots, medics, Mr. Handies, etc. The robots are, however, static objects like decorations, so you cannot loot them. The mod is also available in an ESL format in addition to the ESP version, which is good because this mod is very small and I think it shouldn't take up a plugin slot. So there have been people in the comment section saying that there are other mods that do a similar thing to this, except the robots that are placed there are actually lootable. So I'm not going to keep this one just yet, I'm just going to track it for now. And next up we have Suicide Brahmin. This is going to be a joke mod. This is going to let you craft an experimental flare gun and Brahmin beacons at the cooking station under a new category called Hamburger Helper. So when you fire the flare gun, a Brahmin will spawn in with the Institute teleport effect. They will have a bunch of nukes strapped to them, and it will charge at your enemies and ram them a few times before exploding about 5 times in rapid succession. So I just went bonkers and activated God mode and spawned a bunch of these guys. After they exploded, you can actually go up to them and loot their bodies for the Brahmin meats and hides. While I was using this mod, I actually forgot to check and see if their explosions would actually hurt me, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, when you spawn them in, they run away from you and toward the enemy. So I don't know if this is a mod that I will keep like activated, but it's definitely something that I will keep. I thought it was actually pretty humorous. Next is an Automatron mod known as the Assaultron Brawler. This is going to add a few new parts to the workbench for your robots. There's a new torso, 2 sets of legs, 3 heads, and a handful of arms. I guess you can say it's a bit lewd, but it's a robot, so not really. The main reason why I got this mod was for the boxing gloves, but the claws are also great. You can mix and match these with other parts with absolutely no problems. So thanks to the Red Portal for making this mod. It's going to be a keeper for me. So, it's always a good feeling when you see an interesting mod and it's from an author that you recognize. So, this is Bunker Hill by Pleased to Met You. They are the same person that made the More Diamond City Guards, which is a mod that I reviewed in a previous video. And I absolutely love that one. So, this mod will do a similar thing but with Bunker Hill. This is going to add Bunker Hill patrols, and you can either choose between the Minutemen, which is the default file, or you can choose the Raiders, which is the optional file. So, these guys make the whole place feel more secure. There is at least 1 guard on each of the 4 sides of Bunker Hill. So, there's also a small guard structure that's like connected to one of the walls. I'm not exactly sure if this was here originally, but it's also a nice touch. So these guards will be here regardless if you met Preston and joined the Minutemen or not. So most Minutemen patrol mods usually have conflicts with a mod called Orphans of the Commonwealth. It usually causes bored children to spawn in their underwear, but with this mod it doesn't appear to be happening. I went up to a bunch of these NPCs and kept disabling them and enabling them, seeing if any of them will spawn in as kids, and none of them did. So I think it's safe to use this one alongside that mod. No problems so far, and it's a keeper for me. So personally, I think that all of these mods are good. I will be sticking with the original Vault 98. And if you're still here after all that time, I thank you. So this is going to do it for me, and I will see you all later. Be sure to check out my playlist for other Fallout videos like this, and hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already.